Well, special teams is not a specialty of this team. Let's dive into the penalty kill and power play on today's episode of Locked On Flames.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for tuning in today. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Today, we're going to talk about the unacceptable performance of Martin Pospisil and mainly him on Saturday's outing against the Winnipeg Jets, and just how they could not stay out of the penalty box or out of their own way, as well as looking at the power play and penalty kill and just what might need to change, what we can potentially expect with Yegor Sharngovich coming back. And we're going to wrap up the show talking about what a full 60-minute effort actually looks like. What does this 2-game road trip look like for the Flames, and how do we infuse that 60-minute effort into this and bring it to life? Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. As soon as Martin Pospisil took that penalty late in the third period, I knew we were in trouble. It was great. Let me just say, let's rewind. They had a fantastic penalty kill on that 5-on-3. I will say, Dustin Wolf, I hope everyone either buys you dinner or a nice bottle of wine, because you deserve it. And it is just unacceptable the way that the amount of penalties that the Flames have been taking is just it's just unacceptable. There's really no other word other than unacceptable. They are so undisciplined and can't stay out of their own way that it is impacting all of their games and all of their effort. I'm sorry, but if I was a veteran and Martin Pospisil took that penalty, I would be so upset. And Rasmus Anderson kind of came out and was like, that was so frustrating. It's so frustrating. And I don't blame him. And all I could think of when I was putting this episode together was Matthew Tkachuk's antics. And granted, they are two different level of players, obviously, but I think back to the locker room that was filled with veterans that really didn't like Matthew Tkachuk's antics, and how that kind of split the room, and how, it didn't really go over well for Matthew Tkachuk, supposedly. What is this locker room comprised of? Veterans. What does this group pride themselves on? A good, solid veteran leadership group that's going to help them steer the way and clear the path, right? I would not be shocked if Pospisil takes a penalty tonight against Vegas and Huska just hits him. He sat him for the final 12 minutes of, I believe it was the second period last week. At what point is it going to happen? Because it cost the Flames the game on Saturday. They could have handed the Jets their first regulation loss of the season, but they didn't. And, 2 points are 2 points. I understand we're trying to get a high draft pick here, but at the end of the day, this team not necessarily thinking like that. When do you potentially healthy scratch him? I'm just saying, if you want to send a message, benching is a good start. It's like when you tell a kid to go stand in the corner or sit down at the playground because they took another kid's juice box. You just can't do that. Great. But what's the next step if it does not change? You sit him up in the press box, and I really don't want that to happen. I want to see Martin Pospisil get it together, but it is just so frustrating watching it game after game after game, and he doesn't even lead the team in penalty minutes. He's right behind Kadri, who has 16, so only, like, Pospisil has 13, Kadri has 16. But the thing is, Kadri's penalties aren't as costly as Pospisil's, because Pospisil just takes them at the worst imaginable time, and it makes me so, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And, everyone was so frustrated, and as soon as that whistle was blown, it just was like the air was just, like, let out of the Saddle Dome, and it was like, "Okay, well, we know how this is gonna end." And it did. They scored on the power play, and it's just the Flames penalty kill is not good enough for anyone to be punching their frequent flyer mile card to the penalty box. It's not good enough. Sure, they looked better on faceoffs. That's great. But at the end of the day, if you are not putting together a cohesive 60-minute effort, you aren't going to play good hockey. You're not going to get the results that you want. Your power play went 0 for 4 again, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but there are so many parts to this team that just they're not even in the same book, let alone the same page. You are not the team that you were last year in terms of your penalty kill. And we have talked ad nauseum about this. You don't have Chris Tanev anymore. You don't have Noah Hannafin anymore. Nikita Zadorov, thank you for, you're no longer taking penalties, but now Martin Pospisil, close enough. Welcome back, Nikita Zadorov. It is just so frustrating to watch this team get in their own way game after game after game. And sometimes it's not even the team. Sometimes it's literally just Martin Pospisil. And at some point, Ryan Huska has to send a stronger message. We are not even 10 games into this season. Something's got to give. But coming up next, we are actually going to talk more about the Flames special teams with the power play and maybe what changes we could see there, as well as on the penalty kill, because we have some roster changes with Kevin Rooney and Yegor Sharngovich coming back, and we will be right back after this. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get in on the action of sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. Prize Picks puts its members first, so withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts, like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discount select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value in your lineups. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL for that $50 instant bonus when you play your first $5 lineup. That is Locked On NHL on the Prize Picks app for your $50 bonus. thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Hope you're having a great day, and make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast, because we're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. When we were going in like the off season, we knew that the penalty kill was going to be an issue. Obviously, because you're losing, obviously Jacob Markstrom. What your most important penalty killer is your goaltender. Dan Vladar and Dustin Wolf have not been the problem here, which is fantastic news. You don't have Chris Tanev, who obviously throws his body in front of anything. You don't have Noah Hanifin, who is obviously pretty good penalty killer, as well as power play. And you just don't have any high-end elite talent. And the power play is also suffering really for similar reasons. You don't have somebody you don't have Matthew Tkachuk or Johnny Gaudreau to do their wraparound goals anymore. You don't have a true finisher. Connor Zary is as close as they get with that, and I know that he's just on the cusp of breaking through even more and blossoming and taking that next step in his game, but it's not gonna happen if people don't shoot the puck, and that's the problem. And let's start with the penalty kill, because to me this is this may be the most infuriated I have been with the Flames in a very long time, because this is something that they can avoid. This is 100% something that they can avoid. And I'm talking about, I understand, trips happen. They're avoidable. Cross-checking, absolutely avoidable. The slashing call on Nazem Kadri, that was didn't need to happen. Didn't need to happen. There are instances where it makes sense for you to take a penalty. But if you are going out of your way to slash someone, to cross-check someone, to interfere, and what are we doing? This team is not in a position to be shorthanded. Right now, they are actually 10th in the league in penalty minutes with 90, which I thought was going to be so much more, because it just feels like they sit in the penalty box for every half a game. But when I was looking at some key differences, I noticed that the shot blocking, again, Chris Tanev, there was a reason that that penalty kill was as highly ranked as it was. It might not have been a top 10, but it was efficient. And now you're sitting at a 71%. Right in the smack dab middle of the league. It's 16th. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I read that wrong. You're sitting 5th to last in the league. 5th to last on your penalty kill. The one thing that was holding your team together for so long. The glue, it's just gone. It's just gone. And I want to see the Flames take out Anthony Mantha for Kevin Rooney. Kevin Rooney is an excellent defensive player, and we have seen this. We might not have seen it much in these few short games he's been back, but last year, especially when he was playing with Dryden Hunt and Jacob Pelletier, he was great at that. And I want to see, since Anthony Mantha if he's not going to shoot the puck, let someone who will do it. Why not? At some point, you just have to say, heck, we ball. Switch someone out. It's not permanent, but just throw something at the wall and see if it sticks. And I feel like that's what you're going to have to potentially do with Sam Honzik, too. I feel like he could be a great addition to the penalty kill. You have to figure it out. And this goes for the power play as well. This is very difficult because last year the power play was a stinky, rotten egg, smelly egg salad sandwich. And this year they got off to a really good start. So it was kind of like, oh, hold on, like there's not much really to look forward to, but hey, if we get a good power play, like that's it. Like we're not asking for much. And it's like a top 5, top 6 power play in the league, and now they're sitting 18th with 18%. That's not good. I don't understand why this team has such a difficult time. Just like every team has systems. Every team has a fundamental system. This team falls back to passing constantly. Even when there is a perfect opportunity to shoot the puck, even if it's not a perfect opportunity, a deflection, anything, a shot is a shot. And there is that great quote, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? We are all familiar with that. Well, stop passing the puck and take the shot. It is just so infuriating because once again, they don't have that high-end finishing talent. Matthew Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau were such pivotal pieces of this team that they're not going to find replacements for in these next 2 years unless it is through the draft, and you have to draft high. So maybe it is a good thing this is going poorly, but I do think with Sharngovich coming back, that could be helpful. He obviously led the team in scoring last year, and I think that he just has like that shoot first mentality. I'm hoping that we do see some sort of pickup with Mantha, because I don't know what else you could possibly do, other than putting Matt Coronado back on the power play. But we're not doing that because he's back with the Wranglers. So what can the Flames do to stay out of their own way? Just play disciplined hockey. And that sounds so simple and like duh, Jess, why are you even talking about it? Well, because they can't do it. They can't do it. And it is infuriating to watch. And everyone on my timeline, as soon as one of them goes to the penalty box, it's like, okay, well, you might as well just like put a goal, like add another score for the opponent, because the Flames can't kill penalties. So congrats. Every team that faces them, I'm sure, is like, okay, this is going to be a walk in the park when we have the man advantage. And it is. But coming up next, we're going to talk about the Flames and Vegas Golden Knights game tonight and kind of what this revenge game might look like for Miramonov and Braden Pahal. Get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, all in one place. It's super convenient. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you can place your bets. Tonight, let's take a look at some of the same game parlay options that you got going on. Are you going to take the over-under? Are you going to take the Flames money line? Are you going to take the Golden Knights money line? Could we see 2 shots on goal from Blake Coleman or Jack Eichel? What about Kadri or Michael Backlund? You never know, but place your bets on FanDuel.com. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 $50 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are following me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. So the Flames are on the road for 2 games tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights, and then Wednesday against Utah. We're going to dive more into the game against Utah a little bit closer to the game because I want to see how this game goes. But, first matchup between the two teams, super exciting. So I am kind of looking forward to that. But tonight is a revenge game. Miramonov and Braden Pahal make their returns to Vegas after they claimed Pahal off waivers, and Miramonov came over in the Noah Hanifin trade. So, Miramonov, I feel like, has had like extra pressure added to him because they kind of need him to take this spot, and he is a good defenseman, but I don't think he quite pales in comparison with Noah Hanifin. But tonight, they are going up against the first place Vegas Golden Knights, and they are still a force to be reckoned with, even with the amount of change, turmoil, and turnover that they have had. And it's kind of frustrating because you just want them to be bad. I think, it doesn't even matter that they're Pacific Division rivals. I think everybody just roots against Vegas. I think that that's fair, a fair assumption, I would say. I don't think I've ever met someone that's like, yeah, like I'm not rooting for Vegas's downfall. I think everyone that I've, hockey fan wise, people are a lot more welcoming to the Kraken, which is kind of funny. But back to Vegas. Ivan Barbashev leads the team with 7 goals. Mark Stone leads the team with 17 points. So, obviously that is a big difference, point totals wise, compared to the Flames. The Flames sitting pretty at 9 with leading scoring. So, the offense is still there for Vegas, and Mark Stone, glad he's healthy. Good for him. I'm sure he will conveniently fall ill around the trade deadline and then magically be ready for the postseason again. But for tonight, Dan Vladar is in net. Dan Vladar has been better than I expected. And that's great. Like, I'm so happy for that because he needed something. He needed to improve upon his performance from last year. And even the season before wasn't that great. So to come back after, hip surgery and have this, basically you're starting every other night now, which is great. So he has some confidence. He's gotten into the rhythm. He's gotten into the groove of things. He has mainly started on the road too, which I find fascinating. It's just the way that, the schedules have lined up in the rotation. But I do wonder at some point if maybe they do kind of mess with the workload, potentially because Dustin Wolf has been playing this well and he could be a front runner for the Calder should he see an increased workload. But we can dive into that later this week. I think the biggest takeaways for tonight, like the Flames just need to not take penalties. Please stop making Dan Vladar do more work than necessary. Please give that man a night off. Give him a break. Go have an offensive burst against their goaltender instead. I think we should just do that. But in all seriousness, I think that if Dan Vladar is going to do anything, it is bail this team out of a tough game. And, we saw it the season opener. That set the tone. And then I just am very cautiously optimistic with him in net. And, Miramonov, we need him to look like a star tonight. There have been times where I don't think that he knows he's supposed to be playing defense. There have been many times where that has happened, and I don't want that. It's gross. We don't need to see that, especially against the team that we traded one of our best defensemen to. It's just show up today. Just show up. I'm not asking for a Bobby Orr type night, but just give us something to remember this game by. And that comes with another thing. Everyone needs to put in that full 60-minute effort, because there are times where it really just looks like Blake Coleman and Kadri are carrying this team. And that's not what you want. You want to see everyone out there putting their best foot forward from the second that puck drops. The second their blade hits the ice to go to that face-off dot to the end. And that is something that has killed this team. It's absolutely destroyed them. They decide to show up for the first 20 minutes, take a little break, maybe come back the last 10, 12 minutes of a game, not show up for the first half, and then just play chase up until the third period, and maybe go to overtime, maybe a shootout, or maybe win in regulation. But they cannot be cutting it this close. It needs to be a sustainable 60-minute effort. And I was hoping I could go one episode without saying sustainable, but not around here, not around Locked On Flames. So let's see a full 60-minute effort with minimal penalties and a good night from Miramonov tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights. And puck drops in a little bit over 2 hours. So thank you for hanging out with me today, your evening, wherever you're tuning in. We're available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And make sure you're subscribed and following me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. And tomorrow we will be recapping some of tonight's game, as well as examining any improvements that may have happened with special teams, because something tells me it's just going to be worse.